In 2014, two 24-year-old IIT Roorkee graduates sat in a cramped Bangalore office watching countless Indian startups struggle with the same fundamental problem that was killing their businesses before they could even begin. Harshil Mathur and Shashank Kumar weren't looking to build just another payment company. They were witnessing an entire generation of entrepreneurs hitting an invisible wall that separated Indian commerce from the digital revolution sweeping the globe. Every online business, from the smallest food delivery startup to ambitious e commerce ventures, was forced into a labyrinth of banking paperwork, months long integration processes, and payment systems designed for a pre digital era. While Silicon Valley had Stripe processing billions in transactions with 7 lines of code, Indian entrepreneurs were drowning in bureaucracy, losing customers at checkout, and watching their dreams evaporate in a maze of failed payment attempts. The two friends realized they weren't just looking at a business opportunity, they were staring at the missing piece of India's digital economy, the infrastructure layer that could unleash the potential of millions of businesses waiting to be born. This is the story of how Razorpay became the invisible engine powering India's startup revolution, transforming from a bootstrapped idea into a financial technology empire worth $4 billion. The problem Harshil and Shashank identified wasn't just inconvenient, it was an existential threat to Indian entrepreneurship. In 2014, setting up online payments for an Indian business required navigating relationships with multiple banks, payment aggregators, and gateway providers, each with their own technical requirements, pricing structures, and integration challenges. A typical e commerce startup would spend 3 to 6 months just getting basic payment functionality live, during which they couldn't process a single transaction or generate any revenue. The existing players like CC Avenue and PayU were built for large enterprises with complex integration processes that required dedicated technical teams and substantial upfront investments. Success rates for online transactions hovered around 60%, meaning 4 out of every 10 customers who tried to pay would face failures, abandoned carts, and frustration that sent them back to cash on delivery or competitors. International solutions like PayPal had limited functionality in India due to regulatory restrictions, while Stripe hadn't entered the market and wouldn't launch in India until 2020. The irony was devastating. India was producing some of the world's most talented software engineers and ambitious entrepreneurs, but they couldn't build businesses because the basic financial infrastructure didn't exist. Harshil, who had previously worked at Microsoft, and Shashank, who had been at Schlumberger, recognized that this wasn't just a gap in the market, it was the foundation missing from India's entire digital economy. The founding story of Razorpay reads like a masterclass in solving your own problem. Harshil had been running a logistics startup called Innovaxer, where he experienced firsthand the nightmare of Indian payment integration. After spending months trying to set up basic online payments, dealing with bank bureaucracy, and losing customers to payment failures, he became obsessed with the idea that this infrastructure problem was holding back thousands of potential entrepreneurs. He reconnected with his college friend Shashank, and together they began researching the payment ecosystem, talking to dozens of business owners, and mapping out the technical and regulatory challenges that made Indian payments so complex. They discovered that the problem wasn't just technical, it was systemic. Banks treated payment gateways as low priority products. Regulators hadn't caught up with digital first business models, and the entire ecosystem was fragmented across multiple stakeholders with conflicting incentives. In early 2014, they made the decision to quit their jobs and dedicate themselves full time to building the payment infrastructure they wished had existed for their own ventures. They started with 50,000 rupees in savings, no external funding, and a simple but audacious goal: make accepting online payments as easy as embedding a YouTube video. The name Razorpay came from their philosophy of cutting through complexity with sharp, simple solutions that eliminated friction for both businesses and consumers. The early days of Razorpay were defined by the kind of hands-on problem solving that would later become legendary in Indian startup circles. Working out of a small apartment in Bangalore, Harshil and Shashank spent their first year building relationships with banks, understanding regulatory requirements, and developing their core technology platform. Their breakthrough came when they realized that most existing payment companies were trying to be everything to everyone, resulting in complicated products that satisfied no one completely.
Instead, they focused obsessively on developer experience, creating APIs and integration tools that could get a business accepting payments in hours rather than months. They built comprehensive documentation, provided sample code in multiple programming languages, and offered real time support to developers trying to integrate their system. By late 2014, they had their first few customers, small startups and individual entrepreneurs who were willing to try an unknown payment company because the alternatives were so painful. The traction was slow but steady, with each successful integration teaching them something new about what Indian businesses actually needed. They reinvested every rupee of revenue into improving their product, adding new payment methods, and expanding their banking partnerships. By the end of their first year, they were processing a few million rupees in transactions monthly, but more importantly, they had proven that their approach worked and that there was genuine demand for better payment infrastructure. The product development strategy that transformed Razorpay from a simple payment gateway into a comprehensive financial platform was built on deep understanding of Indian business needs and consumer behavior. While international payment companies focused primarily on credit and debit card transactions, Harshil and Shashank recognized that India's payment landscape was far more diverse and complex. They systematically added support for net banking, UPI, digital wallets, EMI options, and later buy now, pay later solutions, creating a single integration point that could handle the full spectrum of Indian payment preferences. Their technology architecture was designed for the unique challenges of the Indian market, handling high transaction volumes during festival seasons, managing the complexity of multiple banks with different uptime characteristics, and optimizing for mobile-first consumers often transacting on slower internet connections. They introduced innovative features like automatic payment retries, intelligent payment routing that directed transactions to the most reliable banking partners, and real-time analytics that helped businesses optimize their checkout experiences. The developer-first approach remained central to their strategy, with Razorpay consistently rated as having the best documentation and integration experience among Indian payment providers. They also pioneered transparency in pricing, publishing clear, simple fee structures that eliminated the hidden costs and complex negotiations that characterized the traditional payment industry. By 2016, their platform was processing over a billion rupees in transactions monthly, supporting thousands of businesses ranging from bootstrapped startups to growing e-commerce companies.
The fundraising journey of Razorpay reflects both the growing confidence in Indian fintech and the company's ability to execute on an ambitious vision. Their first external funding came in 2015 when they raised $1.25 million in a Series A round led by Matrix Partners India, with participation from MasterCard and several angel investors including Flipkart founders Binny and Sachin Bansal. This round validated their approach and provided the capital needed to expand their team, improve their technology infrastructure, and accelerate customer acquisition. The Series B round in 2017 brought in $11.5 million led by Tiger Global, reflecting the dramatic growth in their transaction volumes and the expansion of their product suite beyond basic payment processing. By 2018, they had raised an additional $20 million in Series C funding, with existing investors doubling down on their bet that Razorpay was building the foundational financial infrastructure for India's digital economy. The breakthrough moment came in 2019 with a $75 million Series D round led by Ribbit Capital, the same venture firm that had backed Robinhood, Coinbase, and other transformative fintech companies globally. This round marked Razorpay's emergence as not just a successful Indian startup, but as a company with global ambitions and world-class execution capabilities. The funding trajectory culminated in 2020 and 2021 with back-to-back massive rounds, $100 million in Series E and $160 million in Series F, valuing the company at $3 billion and later at $4 billion, making it one of India's most valuable fintech companies. The expansion of Razorpay's product portfolio from a simple payment gateway to a comprehensive business, banking, and financial services platform represents one of the most successful examples of horizontal expansion in Indian tech. Starting in 2018, they began launching adjacent products that addressed other financial pain points faced by their existing customers. RazorPayX, their business banking platform, provided current accounts, automated payroll, vendor payments, and tax management tools that integrated seamlessly with their core payment infrastructure.
This wasn't just feature expansion, it was a strategic move to become the primary financial partner for Indian businesses, handling both money coming in through payments and money going out through business banking. They launched Razorpay Capital, providing instant loans and working capital financing to their merchant partners based on transaction history and business performance data they uniquely possessed. Their POS and offline payment solutions brought their technology to physical retail locations, helping traditional businesses digitize their payment acceptance. The introduction of subscription billing, marketplace payments, and international payment capabilities demonstrated their evolution into a full-stack financial services provider. Each new product benefited from network effects with their existing offerings. Businesses that used Razorpay for payments found it natural to adopt their banking and lending products, while the comprehensive platform made it harder for customers to switch to competitors. By 2021, they were offering over 15 different financial products and services, serving not just startups but also large enterprises, traditional businesses, and even other fintech companies who used Razorpay as infrastructure for their own products. The market expansion and customer acquisition strategy that drove Razorpay's growth reveals a company that understood both the power of product-led growth and the importance of serving diverse customer segments. They started by dominating the startup ecosystem, becoming the default choice for new Indian tech companies who appreciated their developer-friendly approach and transparent pricing. Word-of-mouth referrals from satisfied developers became their most powerful acquisition channel, with new startups choosing Razorpay based on recommendations from their technical teams. As their reputation grew, they began attracting larger customers, including established e-commerce companies, SaaS businesses, and traditional companies undergoing digital transformation. They developed enterprise sales capabilities to serve large corporations that required custom integrations, dedicated support, and complex approval processes. Their customer base grew from a few hundred merchants in 2015 to over 8 million businesses by 2021, spanning every conceivable industry from food delivery and travel booking to educational technology and healthcare services. The transaction volume growth was even more dramatic, from processing billions of rupees annually in their early years to handling over 100 billion rupees in transactions every quarter by 2021. They expanded geographically within India, establishing offices in multiple cities and building local partnerships to serve regional businesses. The diversity of their customer base became a strategic advantage, providing stability during economic downturns and exposure to high-growth sectors during boom periods. The competitive landscape that Razorpay navigated and ultimately came to dominate illustrates both the challenges of building in a crowded market and the advantages of superior execution. When they started, the Indian payment space included established players like CC Avenue, which had been operating since 2001, and international companies like PayPal and PayU that had significant resources and market presence. The entry of global players like Stripe in 2020 created new competitive pressure, while the rise of UPI and digital payment apps like PhonePe and Google Pay changed consumer behavior and created new expectations for seamless payment experiences. Rather than competing directly on price or trying to be everything to everyone, Razorpay focused on their core strengths: superior developer experience, comprehensive product integration, and deep understanding of Indian business needs. They consistently invested in technology infrastructure, maintaining higher uptime and transaction success rates than competitors, which became crucial differentiators for businesses where payment failures directly impacted revenue. Their expansion into adjacent financial services created competitive moats that were difficult for pure-play payment companies to replicate. By 2021, they had emerged as clear leaders in the Indian payment infrastructure space, processing more transactions than most of their competitors combined, and serving as the preferred choice for both startups and enterprises. The competitive success wasn't just about market share, it was about becoming indispensable infrastructure that powered the growth of thousands of other businesses. The broader impact of Razorpay on India's startup ecosystem and digital economy extends far beyond their own financial success to encompass the enablement of an entire generation of digital businesses. Before Razorpay, many potential entrepreneurs never started businesses because the complexity of payment integration seemed insurmountable. After Razorpay, accepting online payments became a solved problem, allowing entrepreneurs to focus on their core business ideas rather than financial infrastructure. This democratization of payment capabilities contributed to the explosion of Indian startups across sectors from 2015 onwards, with many successful companies building their businesses on Razorpay's platform from day one. Their transparent, developer-friendly approach influenced how other B2B companies in India thought about product development and customer experience, raising standards across the entire ecosystem.
The company's success also attracted international attention and investment to
Indian Fintech, helping establish India as a major hub for financial technology innovation. Their alumni network has become a source of talent and expertise for other fintech companies, with former Razorpay employees founding or joining numerous other successful startups. The regulatory relationships they built and the compliance frameworks they developed have benefited the entire Indian fintech ecosystem, making it easier for subsequent companies to navigate complex financial regulations. By 2021, Razorpay had become more than a successful startup. They had become essential infrastructure that enabled the success of thousands of other businesses, creating a multiplier effect that contributed billions of dollars to India's digital economy. Their story represents the power of solving fundamental problems with world-class execution, transforming not just their own trajectory but the entire landscape of Indian entrepreneurship and digital commerce.